the morning sun gleamed across the asphalt, bouncing off chrome and windshields like stage lights before a performance. I was standing by my dented Honda Civic, proud veteran of college commutes and grocery runs, when Karen's Porsche rolled into the lot like a silver spaceship landing among mortals. She parked diagonally across 2 spaces, stepped out in designer sunglasses, and tossed her hair like the whole world was her driveway. "Morning," I said, mostly because I was raised right. She gave me a once-over, the kind that measures your value by brand tags. "Oh, hey," she chirped, her voice sugared with self-importance. "Sorry about taking 2 spots, but you know how people here park. Don't want anyone scratching my baby." Her baby was worth more than my apartment. "Right," I replied, sliding my coffee into the cup holder. "Wouldn't want your baby to get a boo-boo." Karen laughed, but there was an edge to it. "You sound jealous," she said, almost pitying. "You should really think about upgrading. Self-care, you know. It's 2025, treat yourself." I stared at her. "Jealous?" I said, keeping my voice calm. "No. I'm allergic to entitlement." Her smile faltered, like she'd just stepped in something invisible. "Excuse me." "Yeah," I continued. "That thing where people think parking rules are optional if their car is shiny enough." She blinked. The tension hung between us like exhaust smoke. Then she scoffed. "You really don't have to be rude just because I've worked for something nice." I could have argued that her husband owned a dealership and her version of work involved hashtags and filters. But I didn't. I just nodded and walked away, my shoes squeaking on the pavement. All day at the office. Her words followed me. Jealous. Maybe it wasn't just about the Porsche. Maybe she saw something in me, the quiet disdain I carried for everything she represented. Success without humility. Wealth without awareness. Comfort without gratitude. That evening, I saw her again. She was wiping a spot of dust from her Porsche hood, humming like life was a movie scene centered around her. And I realized something: Karen wasn't my enemy. She was a mirror. A reflection of what happens when people mistake possessions for personality. I smiled as I passed her, hands in my pockets. "Hey, Karen," I said softly. "Nice car." She looked up, surprised at the friendliness in my tone. "Thanks," she said hesitantly. "Just don't let it drive you," I added, walking away. The look on her face was priceless, the first dent in her armor. The next morning, I was halfway through a lukewarm cup of break room coffee when Karen walked in, heels clicking like judgment. The scent of her perfume, expensive and overly floral, filled the air before she even spoke. "You really made a scene yesterday," she said, grabbing a paper cup. "People were talking." "People always talk," I replied. "That's how they stay entertained." She leaned against the counter, smirking. "You could have just said you wanted a ride. It's okay to admit envy once in a while." I almost laughed. "Karen, if I ever wanted to ride in a Porsche, I'd call an Uber Black. They even open the door for you." Her smile froze. "You know, you might get further in life if you weren't so bitter." "Funny," I said, stirring sugar into my coffee. "I was just thinking you'd get further if you could park straight." Someone behind us snorted. Karen's glare could have melted glass. After that, the office seemed divided, not intentionally, but energy rippled. Some people whispered their support when she wasn't around. Others stayed neutral, unwilling to pick sides in what HR might call a conflict of personality. I didn't care. What bothered me wasn't her car or her arrogance. It was how easily people let shine blind them. At lunch, I sat outside with Ben from accounting. "You really told her off," he said, grinning. "You're like a folk hero now." I sipped my soda. "That's not the point." "Then what is?" "The point is everyone's too afraid to call entitlement what it is. They dress it up as ambition." He nodded slowly, looking thoughtful. "You think she'll let it go?" "Karen." I smirked. "She'll probably hold a grudge in designer gloves." That evening, as I left, I saw her Porsche again, except this time there was a bright orange parking violation tucked under the wiper. She stood beside it, fuming. For a second, I felt a flicker of pity. Just a second. Then she noticed me watching. Happy? She snapped. Not really, I said, walking past her. But maybe the rules aren't allergic to you either. She didn't respond. But I could feel her silence. The sound of entitlement meeting consequence for the first time. Karen avoided me for a week. The office air felt lighter. Though occasionally I'd catch her reflection in the glass walls, glancing over like she was plotting a PR recovery. The Porsche, however, was still there every morning, gleaming defiantly. One day, during a thunderstorm, the sky decided to humble everyone. Rain came in sheets, turning the parking lot into a reflective mirror of chaos. I grabbed my umbrella and headed toward my Civic, when I saw Karen standing beside her. Porsche, hood open, panic in her eyes. It was smoking. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to keep walking. But something deeper, maybe empathy, maybe irony, turned my feet her way. Need help? I asked. She looked up, drenched and shivering. It won't start, she said, voice trembling. I glanced at the engine. Looks like it's flooded. You shouldn't have driven through standing water. I didn't know. She snapped, then softened. Sorry. I panicked. I handed her my umbrella. Here. Stay dry. You'll get soaked, she protested. I've been through worse storms. As I knelt beside the car, trying to help, something shifted. The rain blurred our differences. The makeup ran from her eyes. The sharpness in her tone softened. She wasn't Karen the Porsche owner anymore, just a woman scared her shiny armor was failing. By the time roadside assistance arrived, she looked small, human. Thanks, she said quietly. No problem, I replied. Even luxury breaks down sometimes. She gave a half laugh. Guess entitlement's not waterproof either. We both chuckled. Something like understanding hovered between us. Later, when I finally got home, soaked, tired, but oddly at peace, I realized that moment had cracked something in her. The next morning, she parked properly. She greeted the janitor. She even brought coffee for the team. Maybe humility was contagious. Or maybe storms just wash off the polish long enough to show what's underneath. Months passed. Karen wasn't the same. She still wore designer shoes. Still posted filtered brunches, but she'd started donating to local shelters. Mentoring interns, even carpooling on rainy days. Her Porsche returned from repairs with a quiet shine, but she no longer flaunted it. One afternoon, she approached me. Got a minute? She asked. I nodded. I wanted to apologize, she said. You were right. I was entitled. I didn't see it. The car became my ego. I smiled faintly. Happens to a lot of people. Some wear it on their wrist. Some drive it. She laughed softly. You really are allergic to entitlement. Still am, I said. Break out in sarcasm every time. She grinned, then looked thoughtful. You know. That day, when the Porsche broke down. It was the first time I realized. I didn't know how to handle real problems. Everything I owned was supposed to protect me from them. That's the trick, I said. Comfort makes you forget what you're capable of. She nodded. I'm trying to change that. And she did. Over time, our strange rivalry turned into friendship. Not the close kind, more like mutual respect earned through discomfort. I stopped judging her by her car. She stopped defining herself by it. When Karen eventually sold the Porsche and bought a modest hybrid, the office buzzed with gossip. She didn't care. She smiled at me and said, Guess I finally upgraded, just not the way I expected. I raised my coffee cup. Now that's self-care. She laughed. Jealous. Of growth. I said. Never. Years later, when she left the company for nonprofit work, she sent me a postcard. On it was a sketch of a Porsche with the words, Sometimes you have to stall to start over. I pinned it above my desk, right next to a photo of my old Civic. 2 relics of lessons learned. Karen taught me something I hadn't expected, that even entitlement can evolve into empathy when faced with truth. And a little rain. And maybe, just maybe, that's what being human is about, learning to trade your shine for something real.